Tom Mankey, Friends Community News Group. We're live. We're out at Hopkins Lake, just south of Owosso, and this is where the city has some of their wells. And we're out here. This is tape number 3 that we're doing, and this is on the well. So here we are.
So again, we mentioned earlier that we have 7 wells. We're at Palmer 2. There was another well building through the woods there, Palmer 1. That's an inactive well, has been inactive for so long it is no longer usable under any condition. So the project for Palmer 1 is to demolish it as the state requires legally. Palmer 2 is an active well building with an old structure on it. And let's go take a look at it inside. The pump is running right now. So we'll take a look at it, and then maybe we'll step out and then talk outside the noise a little bit. So we're here in Palmer 2, and again, this is an active well, and this well will produce upwards of 800 gallons per minute still. This well is hooked up to a new generator, and it will, through the transfer switch, automatic transfer switch, keep this well running. We also have a control panel mounted over here, and that's our new controls, and that will also be hooked up to the well. The current project for this well building is to bring this building up to standards. Currently, we have no well metering. We have electrical components against this wall that we need to replace, and we want to make this well and building good for the next 50 years. So we're going to adopt the standard that we have in Palmer 3. And we're going to look at that well building next, because this building will end up almost identical on the outside and inside as Palmer 3. This is a current project that's being engineered and has been submitted, and it'll make this well site good. Again, this well site will have 2 additional features. One, it'll have provision for an offset well, so that if the well itself goes bad, we can drill another one and still use this building. The other provision is we're going to put a booster pump, leave a space for a booster pump in this well, so that in the event that we have to supply water directly from the well, all we need to do is put in the booster pump and put in some chlorine and send it to the customers here in Owosso. So that's an emergency step, but for long-term emergencies, it will provide water for Owosso. All right. We are now at Palmer 3. This well building and has been completed. It's been worked on over the last year and a half, and it's in production now. Again, this well also will produce 800 gallons per minute, but this is the new standard of well building for the city, especially in a public area, such as a park or in a residential area, wherever it may be. But as you can see, it's fenced. We've got bollards for traffic. It has a generator here that powers both this well and Palmer 2. Palmer 2 is going to look just like this. Let's go inside and see what it looks like too. In the last few months. You get on your way? So this is Palmer 3. This building has all the heat and ventilation to keep things dry, a dehumidifier to keep the pipes from rusting. We've got our control panel, our VFD, our transfer switch from the generator. This building will last for a long, long time. And this building is also built with the provision that if we needed to pump from here to the distribution system, we've got a spool piece that we can put a pump in and accomplish that. Now again, that only would happen in the event of an emergency where we are not able to operate the plant. This would then become a source of water that would be treated, and of course it would be approved by the state. So that would be something that would be a last choice backup, but there's provision for it here. Just trying to plan ahead for any event that might occur at Owosso and keep the Owosso water supply going.
It's a beautiful building. It's really a beautiful building. Okay, it goes right.
Okay, we're at the standpipe and booster station. So this is a 1.25 million gallon storage tank, and the booster station contains a pump and a VFD to actually pump into the storage tank, from the storage tank into the distribution system. This was in the last couple years or so, was recently repainted, and we're pretty happy with the logo that was put on the side of it. So it's a nice welcome to Owosso if you're coming north on 52. And let's go inside the building and see what it looks like inside the booster station.
Can you explain to us about what these standpipes do?
So this standpipe, you're seeing the whole tank. The bottom of the tank here is the base of the tank. It doesn't go into the ground anymore. And this tank is filled and kept full by the pumps that we saw at the water plant, the 4 high service pumps. So the pressure that's coming out of those pumps will fill this tank up with over 1 million gallons of water. When we want to take and lower that level and use that water, we turn on the pump inside the booster station, and that pushes the water also into the distribution system. Our pumps at the plant don't have to work as hard, and the actual speed of the pump goes down while this pump is just keeping the distribution system full. So we rotate the water and move the water around that way. A, to keep the water from freezing inside, but B, it keeps the water fresh. We never have old stagnant water. We also, when we renovated this tank, not renovated, but painted it, we had some changes made, some improvements, and one of the big improvements was putting a mixer in it that runs 24/7. So that keeps all of that water fresh. And so any water coming in, any water coming out, the water coming out is never old water, stagnant water. It's good drinkable water.
So basically, it's not like per se a water tower. I thought like a water tower was one of the purposes was to create pressure because the water mains are always under pressure, and because you have the height and it's coming down, one of the purposes is to create that pressure. In this case, that's not really the case. You got a booster pump.
Yes.
Doing the work.
Yes.
Am I wrong with a water tower?
Yes, if the pressure drops low enough, this will provide some of the pressure to the system.
Okay.
But generally it's used with the booster pump.
I got you.
And the other tank that we have called the West Tower over on the west side industrial area in the township is actually an elevated tank, and that one actually does not have a booster pump, and that keeps the pressure over there in the system without additional pumping.
It eliminates the pump.
Okay?
Yep. Okay, thank you.
So we're inside the booster station. We've got one pump, and then behind you is a VFD on the wall, and also the control for the mixer inside the standpipe tank. But this building here is slated for improvement. Why? Well, one of the things is this pump can only pump half of the tank down. We have to drain the rest out through a fire hydrant. And so the pumps need to be resized and changed. We need the redundancy also of pumps here, so we should have 2 pumps. And if the power goes out, this location stops working, stops functioning for us. So this also needs a generator, emergency generator. And Tom, you got a source for that, so we'll check with you first. But the piping and the controls, there is a basement down below here. And all this piping comes from the main that comes across and all the branches off it and into the center of the standpipe. This piping needs to be replaced also. Downstairs we've got some old lead and oakum pipe, and it just needs new. It's seeing its day. So this is one of the projects that's in the Baker-Tilly list, and this is recommended also to be done by Fishbaker, of course. And so we did a little bit of work in adding the control panel. This will be usable with the new changes that have to be done, and that would bring this up to date. And
how old is this?
we've changed this motor and pump a couple times, but this was redone by an employee back in 2018.
Ah, I see.
So it's not that old, and when they painted the tank, we had them go ahead and paint the pipe and the valves, because it didn't take them that long to do it. They blasted it and painted it for a dime.
How old is the tank?
That's a good question. I'd have to look that up to give you the exact year. That's a detail that's not on the tip of my tongue.
Okay, so that's not from the 20s?
No.
Okay.
No, I think it's more around the 70s, 60s and 70s. But I'll get back with you on that.
That is the other standing pipe?
No.
No.
It's not a standing pipe.
West Tower.
That's the West Tower.
So you don't need a booster pump like over here.
Okay.
Because it's an elevated tank.
Yeah, it's an
Alrighty.
elevated tank, so the pressure that's built up in it, we can just open a valve in it, and it feeds the distribution system on that side of town primarily. And that tank also has a mixer in it that's running all the time, keeping the water fresh. That tank does not have a booster pump, and that tank does not need a generator because it does have some battery backups built into the control panels. We're not going to go inside. All the pipes inside are painted. It's just at the base of the tank, but it was recently repainted at the same time this was by the same contractors. So,
Well, this is tape 3, and we've got a lot of information that you've given us in the first 2, and then this one. I did this at the wastewater treatment plant too, and it kind of threw them into a. Can you wrap it up? I mean, no, I mean seriously, in just a few minutes time, all that we've seen. What is the end result? What do we need?
So we looked at a lot. We looked at buildings that are 80 to 90, almost 100 years old. We looked at buildings and equipment that is 20 years old, and we expect to have to replace it within the next 10 years. We look at some portions of the process that were built cheaply. The redundancy isn't there, and to replace them now, the redundancy has to happen. And through all of this discussion, we've talked about the investigation and the option of replacing the plant with a membrane plant. Do we want to do it? Can we do it? Is it the way to go? When it was presented to council in October of 2023 by the engineering firm, the general consensus was that it was the way to go. It was recommended by the engineers, and the council kind of felt it was the way to go, but that wasn't the decision at that time to be made. Now here we are a year and a half later, and we're kind of at the same crossroads. And so our method of operation with the plant, with the water system, is we're only doing what we absolutely have to with the old existing plant. We're waiting on information and further decisions as to whether or not we're going to go the direction of a membrane plant. And so in the meantime, we're trying to save as much money as we can. We're trying not to spend unnecessarily. Where we are spending money, we're spending money in areas that will be used by a new plant also. So it's a wise investment. Some of these future projects, the only projects we're spending on the existing plant are when it's an absolute necessity and emergency in order to keep the quality of water and the quantity of water coming out of the plant.
And you were speaking earlier to us regarding this lime, that system that we're using here. That's not used very much anymore, correct?
Most new plants are going a different direction as far as process. Lime is becoming more and more expensive. It used to be a cheap form of treatment, but that's not the case anymore. And so that's where we are. That's the crossroads where we're at. Where are we going to go in the future? What's the best investment?
Thank you very much. Well, Tom Mankey, Friends Community News Group. This is the third tape we just finished up regarding the water situation, the water program, the wells here in Owosso, Michigan, which also takes care of Corunna, Caledonia Township, and Owosso Township areas. And we just went over what's got to be done, and now it's up to you, the voters, on what you decide to do. Again, Tom Mankey, Friends Community News Group, live in Owosso, Michigan, March 26, 2025.